I mean, one of the biggest problems that people don't realize is the number one thing that people pay for in retirement is taxes. Lots of times you hear people say healthcare. No, you pay way more in taxes than you'll ever pay in healthcare costs. So if you can protect yourself more from taxes, you could save 20, 30% potentially of your entire growth of that money.
Welcome to Wealth Creator Radio, where we help people overcome the uncertainty of having enough retirement income. I'm your host, Eric Heckman, a certified financial planner with over 30 years of experience. We want you to enjoy life and not have to wonder where your money will come from and how long it'll last. My mission is to show you how to develop a personalized income plan so you can retire more and have worry less wealth. Here at Wealth Creator Radio, we cut through the noise and get straight to what matters. We understand that the world of retirement planning can be filled with confusing products, ever-changing tax laws, and volatile markets. That's why we're here to help successful people like you navigate the uncertainty and create a blueprint for a thriving, work-optional life.
Welcome to Wealth Creator Radio. Do you pay much attention to cabinet appointments and all the political news out of Washington? Eric Heckman, who is president of Heckman Financial, is going to share with us how your taxes could be impacted by the new Trump administration. So let's start off by giving you our phone number in case you do have questions about anything we discuss on our show today. 800-454-1184. You may call or text the word VISIT to get on Eric's calendar. Remember, he is a certified financial planner. He's been helping people have remarkable retirements for over 30 years. So he's the guy to ask if you have any retirement questions. Call or text the word VISIT, 800-454-1184. You can also text the word TOOLBOX to get Eric's book that he has written, plus other informative resources for retirement as well. You'll hear us talk about this throughout the show. And remember, you can catch our show on podcast. It comes out every Tuesday morning. Search for Wealth Creator Radio wherever you get your podcast. Eric, so excited to get started with you today. How you doing?
Yeah, well, it's been definitely a crazy month or so with the Trump administration doing this and that, and lots of insanity, and nobody knows what exactly is going on. So, we'll try to at least give you a little bit of clarity, hopefully.
Yes. Okay, so let's start off with then Scott Bessent. He was confirmed as U.S. Treasury Secretary, and, he says, that he'd actually like to preserve as much of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act as possible. Here he is, and then I want to get your reaction to him, Eric.
If we do not renew and extend, then we will be facing an economic calamity. And as always, with financial instability, that falls on the middle and working class people.
Yeah. So your reaction, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have the lower cuts for tax brackets and such. Now, remember, the Trump tax laws took away most of the write-offs for everybody, mostly on the coast, that had state and local tax deductions. So, a lot of us lost $20,000 to $60,000 in write-offs. So it kind of depends on your personal situation. I find for a lot of people who are retired, the Trump tax laws are definitely better. For a lot of people working, especially in California, no, they're often worse. But the hard part is how are you going to pay for it? And I don't care how much Elon cuts. Just the Medicare, Social Security, and interest on the debt is more than the country makes in all revenue. So keeping taxes low just means we're going to put more on the credit card.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this then. Trump has said one of his key points is to go ahead and extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. What are you telling people now as far as where the tax rates are right now, how they can make the most of them?
Yeah, I mean, most people think that they'll get extended for 5 years. I know he wants to make them permanent. Just so people know, the whole reason why they expire and why the first one expired after 8 years is because it wasn't funded. There was no way to pay for it. And back in the Clinton-Gingrich days, they passed a law when they bounced the budget that said, hey, if you're going to do some sort of great tax cut or lower your income, you have to be able to pay for it. Duh. I mean, it's kind of like before you go out and buy a car. You have to be able to make the payment. Right. So it makes sense. But nope, that's not what they're caring about this time. They're just saying, well, let's put it back on the national credit card. And, when Trump's first term, the national debt went up by about 50% over those 4 years. So, it is a little scary because at some point we're going to have to pay our bills. But most people right now are thinking at least 5 years that these will remain in place. And, so depending on your situation, it might be a great time to do Roth conversions and pay some of that tax when things are lower. There are a lot of different things that you can do to take advantage of at least the tax brackets being lower.
Okay. So, you and I talk about how you've got to have a tax efficiency plan in your retirement plan. This is all part of your blueprint to worry less wealth. You guys do focus on having that tax efficient plan. So talk about that and that you're offering that today to our listeners.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of the biggest problems that people don't realize is the number one thing that people pay for in retirement is taxes. Lots of times you hear people say healthcare. No, you pay way more in taxes than you'll ever pay in healthcare costs. So, but sadly, most people are focused on their investments. They're focused on, what stock to buy, what's the new hottest, latest trend, right? Should I do Bitcoin? Should I do gold? All these things. But if you can protect yourself more from taxes, you could save 20, 30% potentially of your entire growth of that money. So which one's a bigger one, right? Getting rid of that tax or trying to grow it 1 or 2% more. I'd much rather get rid of that tax permanently. So, so that's one of the things that you have to have is you have to have a lifetime tax plan where you lower your taxes over your lifetime, not just this year. If you're talking about lowering your taxes for 2024, too late. It's over. You can't really do anything. And if you do something, it'll probably actually increase your lifetime taxes. So again, what we really care about is how do we lower that tax for the rest of your life? And that's the critical thing. So when we go through our blueprint to worry less wealth, we look at the income plan. That income plan will actually show us not only will your money last as long as you do, but it'll also show us the taxes year by year. It'll show you your cumulative tax, which is a really scary number to look at. So I always have to debate if I want to show that to people because it's a little depressing.
Yeah.
But, and then you want to look at where the money's invested. What are the tax ramifications of that? Obviously, healthcare costs and legacy. And that's the 5 areas of the blueprint to worry less wealth. That's something we can help you set up with. So, if you want to go over these questions, all you have to do is text the word VISIT to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word VISIT, 800-454-1184, or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And thank you for joining us. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. So today, right now, we're just talking about whether or not the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is going to be extended. It sounds like it will be. So here's the deal. Because we are not in control of legislative risk, give us some specifics maybe that we can do to kind of try to have more control over the taxes we're going to pay.
Well, that's control is always a little bit of an illusion, right? Even if these are so-called permanent, in 4 years is another election and, almost every presidential change, there becomes a new tax law and they throw out the old one. So, it's kind of like you're halfway through the game of Monopoly and now they change the rules on you and now you're not supposed to buy this or now you get this. And so, it always changes. It's something that you have to always keep on top of. But, one of the safest ways to do it is look at some tax planning like Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, after tax, backdoor Roth, all these things. The more you can get into money that's tax-free for the rest of your life, that is actually control. That is money that you can now know it's going to be yours. My son, recently got a little bit of money and, I was like, well, you should fund a Roth. And he's like, what's that? And so I said, well, let's see. If you put in 7,000 and it doubles and doubles and doubles, if it doubles, every 10 years, by the time, he's retired, that should be over $100,000. That's $7,000. And so, it's kind of amazing how much money that could be if you start that early, right? So
exactly.
So, that's one of the things is, and if he can do that 100% tax-free where it's all going to be his, that's going to be a way better deal. So that's one of the things to look at. There's also some other things like specially designed life insurance can be funded and come out tax-free. So there are definitely some good options. And, there's even some good options in terms of how to, if you have to sell some assets and stuff, how to delay some of those taxes or how to spread those taxes out if you're selling a house, selling a lot of stock. So all these things are critical things to be paying attention to. So if you want to set up a time to talk with me, Eric Heckman, all you have to do is text the word VISIT to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word VISIT, 454-1184 or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Be sure to like and subscribe to Wealth Creator Radio so you can stay up to date on ways to build your wealth and create a retirement you and your family will enjoy for years to come. Like and subscribe today and create your wealth for tomorrow with Wealth Creator Radio.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. And, we all know how important it is to save for retirement. I think that's been, ingrained in us. But the big question is, how do we preserve what we've saved? And it's a big deal to more than 90% of consumers that we need to protect our retirement assets. And so, Eric, when we talk about protected households, we're talking about families who have something like a pension or an annuity to supplement what they're going to get from Social Security and retirement. So I want you to talk about why it is so important that we find a way to get protected income in retirement.
Yeah, well, one of the hardest things is how do you make sure you don't run out of money? That's pretty much the number one fear for everybody in retirement. So, easiest way is have more guarantees, right? Most of us don't have those nice pensions that companies used to provide. Mm-hmm. So, lots of times it is really good to go out and get one of, basically you could call it a private pension or whatever you want to call it, but, you're buying something with an insurance company that will make sure that money lasts as long as you do. And there's more and more studies that show that really you have to have something like that because, what used to kill you, now we just take a pill for it and, we live a lot longer, right? So that's great unless you don't have money. Then that sucks. So we don't want to be there, right? So we want to make sure that that you've got some money coming in every single month, and especially with Social Security in 2035 or so is supposed to not be able to pay 75 to 80% of its benefits, depending on which time frame you look at. So, that there is some government risk too. If that was one of your main sources and that went away, yikes. So that's another reason to have it too. Is have some baseline stuff, so at least your main costs are covered, and then you can use your risk money for all the other stuff.
Right. Okay. So I want people to understand maybe a little bit more about whether or not their retirement income is protected. So, Eric, tell us about common places we might put our retirement money, money that's not protected.
Yeah, well, probably the number one thing is your 401k, right?
Yeah.
401ks, IRAs, all those things. There are no protected assets in there. Now, sometimes they have a money market or a guaranteed fund where the balance is protected, but there's no protection on the income. So really what that is if you have your money in market assets, you're retiring on hope. It's the hopium dream, right? That you're stuck on hopium. You're hoping that's going to last for you. And, it's pretty scary because you never know what's going to happen, right? .com crash, people didn't see the financial crisis, all sorts of, COVID, right? All sorts of things that have come and really dropped the market for a while. That didn't really matter when you were working because you weren't withdrawing money. But once you're retired and you need that dollars, man, if that money comes out and you're cashing in those shares don't come back, right? Those dollars don't jump back up because you used them, you lived on them, right? So that's one of the things I think that people have to really super be watching for is how are you going to get this money out? It's not just points on the scoreboard anymore. It's actually having a plan to withdraw the money, to make sure that income lasts as long as you do, which then means you have to know where that money's invested. And then also the biggest cost in retirement is taxes. So that's the next area you have to figure out. Lastly, healthcare and legacy issues. So those are the 5 areas of the blueprint to worry less wealth. And that's what we do here at Heckman Financials. We help people worry less and retire more. And so that way they can, live their life more. But you have to have that plan for that income, investment, tax, healthcare, and legacy. So, one of the great things we do is we set up a digital toolbox, and it's a place where you can get some great downloads like Will My Money Last As Long As I Do, which is what we're talking about, right? And also Social Security Decision Dilemma. There's stuff about Medicare. There's a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, and even a spot to set up a time to talk with me, Eric Heckman. So all you got to do is super easy, is just text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184,
or go online and download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And you are listening to Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. So happy to have you along with us. I want to mention that Eric and his team hold many events throughout the year. Find those details, even sign up for them at their website, wealthcreatorradio.com. All right, so we're talking about income and making sure that it is protected. Tell us, Eric, what challenges we're going to be facing with our income if it's maybe money instead of protected income.
Well, like I said, if the markets drop and you're taking that money out, you're locking in those losses. And so, that means that money's going to go down faster. There's people talk about dollar cost averaging, where you can put money in and it helps it grow over time. Well, this is reverse dollar cost averaging or another problem called the sequence of returns. And, it's a very well-known problem that if you keep taking this money out and things keep going down, you're going to run out of money pretty quick. I mean, if somebody took money out of the S&P 500 from 2010 to 2020, their money would have barely changed. But if they took money out from 2000 to 2010, they would be almost out of money, and the same exact dollar amount. So we've got an example where we used 500,000 and taking out 30,000 a year. One time frame's down to 76,000, the other one's over 350,000. So big difference, but exact same investment. So it's not the investment is the problem; it's the risk, right? It's the money dropping. So that's one of the biggest things is having something that's protected. So that way you can go in those bad times, grab that. When the markets are up, that's when you can say, oh, let's take some from the market. But don't be doing that when the market's down. But you need to have some other place, because if you're 100% in the market, all stocks and bonds, you don't have any options at all.
Right. So if someone's interested in getting this protected income, they've got to figure out the right option for their family. Obviously, that's kind of what you guys do. Do you do something like maybe an annuity analysis?
Well, not per se annuity analysis. For me, I always try to start everything with planning.
Okay.
It's kind of like, what color should I paint my walls? Well, have you built the house yet?
Right. Yeah, that'd be me.
Right.
That'd be me. I'd have the whole inside figured out. And
Yeah. And so that's one of the problems is people talk products so much. They're just sell stuff and push things. And, that's not the right way to go. The first and foremost, you got to have a plan to know, okay, how much do I need to live on? How much do I need a protected income? What would make sense for my situation? And then go from there. Because some people want those lifetime payout guarantees, but some people might just need some guaranteed principal that has good growth because they got enough other assets. So, it really depends on which type. I can tell you the ones you don't want is the variable annuities. Those are the ones with all the fees and costs. And 95% of the time, I can't find a way that those are suitable or in the best interest for the client. So those are the ones I really tend to stay away from and, warn people about. But, we're talking about the ones that don't have fees and costs and ones that, you have to leave your money there for a period of time, but, there is no, annual fees and deductions. And so there's lots of great options out there. It's just more about finding out about them and how they fit for your situation.
Okay. And then one other thing before we take a break, Social Security is still a big part of the discussion on retirement income. Can you talk about how we need to think about our entire picture, our entire income picture before we, decide to claim those benefits?
Yeah, no, certainly. So, the biggest annuity out there is Social Security. That's one that everybody pretty much gets. So, so picking when to start that annuity can have a huge effect. You don't want to be doing it early. If you're still working, you're going to give a lot of it back. A lot of people say, well, if it runs out of money or has issues, why don't I just grab it now? But, that might not be the best long-term decision because you might be getting those payments for 30 years, right? Or somebody, because if you're married, whoever gets the higher of the two checks, that's the permanent check for you guys. And you want that check to be as big as it possibly can. So, again, it goes back to planning, goes back to having a strategy and then knowing which is the right time to do it. Sometimes it actually makes sense to actually do it sooner. So, again, one of the ways we've set up some great ways to get information for you or to you, I should say, is our digital toolbox. So you can have a lot of great downloads. You can set a time to talk. You can read a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. So all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox,
454-1184 or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
If something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. There's a particular time of life this phrase couldn't be more appropriate. How can you know you'll live the retirement you've always imagined? After all, life can be so unpredictable. You've worked hard and saved. Watch your accounts go up and down with the market. Your advisor says, don't worry, you'll be fine. But you still don't feel confident. Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial has a checklist to help you find out if you're on the right track for retirement. If you can check all the boxes with confidence, you may be ready for retirement. If not, Eric can help you address any potential costly mistakes. To get Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial's complimentary checklist, call or text LIST to 800-454-1184. Call or text LIST to 800-454-1184. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hi, I'm Luann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, president of Heckman Financial, where their mission is to get you to and through a worry-less wealth retirement. Wouldn't you like to worry less? Most people believe it's important to take steps to help protect their retirement savings. That's good news, but that's not the entire story. People are still making assumptions about their financial future and failing to see some of the gaps in their strategy. Eric, we've talked about this before. The Center for Retirement Research at Boston College found that about 30% of all households wrongly assume they're prepared for retirement. A little more than that, 32% of high-earning households are the most overconfident.
No, certainly, yeah. I don't think a lot of people really fully understand, how it changes. I mean, one big one is when you have 7 days a weekend versus 2, you can go have a little bit more fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a golfer, you might be golfing a lot more. Well, that's more fees, right? If there's more travel, you might be spending more on that. Now not everybody does expensive hobbies. Maybe it's just gardening or something, but that is one of the things to be paying attention to is what's your spending level going to be, especially if you have a lot of those bucket list items of trips and fun things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. And, so that'd be one issue. Lots of times too, is people just don't understand how the cash flow works, where the money's going to come from. Again, how much taxes are going to pay and what that effect's going to be. So yeah, there's a lot of things I think people don't understand. And, a lot of times that's where a second set of eyes can really help out and say, oh, did you know about this? Did you know about this? Right. So it's always helpful to talk to somebody else about that.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why we're here doing this show, to let people understand they can contact you, Eric Heckman, for that second set of eyes at Heckman Financial. Okay. What do we need to do to make sure that we aren't making too many assumptions with how long our money is going to last?
Well, a couple things. One is making sure you have inflation adjustment. Think about what you made maybe 20, 30 years ago. You'd probably not want to be living on that same income today, right? And this is going to be the same thing in retirement. You can't, if you're going to be retired for 20, 30 years, you can't have the same amount of income that you started with that you're going to end with, because it'd be probably pretty ugly at the end. And so, we need to have that money growing. And so that means you're going to have to be spending more. And did you include that in your assumptions or not, right? What's taxes and costs going to be like? Probably one of the biggest ones is people don't realize like how horrifically expensive dental is in retirement, because Medicare does not do much for dental at all. So that's one of those weird ones. I've got clients almost every year have at least 1 or 2 clients that have a 5-figure dental bill.
Oh my, yeah.
And so that's one thing I guarantee you people don't include in their, their plans.
Right.
And sometimes it may be stuff like, oh, I'm helping out the kids or helping out this thing. Well, what did that do to your retirement? Mm-hmm. How much money did that dent, how much money you have and such. So, there's a lot of little things that people don't kind of really always think about. And obviously stuff like long-term care, what would that effect be? If all of a sudden one spouse gets ill and you spend $300,000 or $400,000 over 2 or 3 years taking care of them, and then that other spouse lives for another 15, 20 years, how's that going to affect everything? So there's lots of little things to be planning on that people probably don't always think about.
Right. That's so true. That dental, I'm kind of surprised Medicare doesn't cover dental, because your health, your overall health does depend on having healthy dental care. So, yeah, I was kind of surprised about that. We talk about this figure all the time. Only about 25% of Americans have a written financial plan, which means the other 3/4 of us don't have a plan. So I'm guessing a lot of those people aren't even sure what we mean when we talk about having an income plan for retirement. So talk about that, Eric. That's something that you guys do all the time for retirees.
Yeah, well, as you know, I do a lot of bicycling and like
Yes.
do even bicycling adventure trips and other
Mhm.
things. And, I always have a route. I always have a plan, but I always have a phone and, Garmin GPS and all this other stuff. But if I just went to some city and started trying to ride 50 miles and try to figure out where the heck I started from and where my stuff is, you know, it might be
Wow.
pretty tough if I
Yeah.
didn't have a GPS, if I didn't have any of this modern technology, right, or a map or anything. And that's really what it's going to feel like if you don't have a written financial plan. You're just going to be wandering about in retirement and hoping you get to some place. You don't know where it'll be, and you don't know how great the destination will be. So it's a little scary. And I would not want to do that for anybody. And so one of the biggest keys is, like we talked about, is having that income plan where it says, how much are you going to spend it on a monthly basis? And, how's that going to change over time? Like before 65, after 65 with Medicare issues. How's Social Security play a part of that? How's any other income sources? What's the tax ramifications of all your different types of assets like 401ks or Roth or IRA or regular money? How's that all going to play out when you withdraw that money, and what's the taxes you're going to pay, and what order should those different dollars be taken? And, there's a lot that goes into it. But once you have it and you know that your money's going to last till, 95 or 100, that's great. Sometimes people say, I want to retire early, and we do their plan and their money might run out about 75 or 80. Okay, well, there's something we should probably be doing differently. Or you might want to work longer. You might want to retire someplace else, downsize your house. There's different options. But, if you didn't know that going in and then you just ended up where your money's almost out of, almost gone, that'd be pretty freaky and scary especially if you're 80, right?
Right.
So, again, that's why we've set up these great things in our digital toolbox. Like, will your money last as long as you do? Are you paying too much taxes in retirement? All these great resources there, even the Social Security decision dilemma. So, I really encourage people just to go there, get some of these quick reads. Education is the biggest key to starting out and figuring out how, do I have an issue? Should I do something different? I'll even have a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, and a way to set a time to talk with me, Eric Heckman. So all you got to do, super easy, is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And we are so happy you joined us today. This is Wealth Creator Radio with my friend Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. So obviously, yeah, that's the whole point. Eric and his team want to help you have more confidence with your income picture in retirement. I think a lot of people want that because it sounds like a good thing, but maybe they don't understand exactly how to get it. So, aside from doing this radio show, how else do you help people learn more about options for protected income in retirement, Eric?
Well, again, first of all, having that plan. So the plan helps a lot, right? Because then at least you know where things are going and how the money's going to be coming out. But also having some guaranteed types of money. So I always like to divide money up into three types. So there's market money, which most people are familiar with, stocks, bonds, ETFs, all that stuff in your 401k. But then there's also some foundational money, some money that is guaranteed either by a bank, insurance company, or treasury, something that has some backing, and ideally that may have some lifetime income or at least have some good earnings that can't go away, where the principal is guaranteed. Again, so you raid that money when things are bad. You take the market money when things are doing good. And then I usually have a little bit like 10 to 20% in steady income, stuff that just pays good cash flow. That's really critical when you're retired, but even while you're working, it's good to have that cash flow coming into the account, because then, there might be opportunities to move it into the market when markets drop and such. So, again, it's really about minimizing your lifetime taxes, making sure you have a plan, making sure you have that income that's going to last. And then you can, retire more and
worry less, like we talk about. So, if you want to have options on that, again, go to our toolbox. It's got a lot of great information on there. All you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Imagine for a moment that an intense storm is pounding your house. Will the roof leak? Will the siding peel away? Will your basement flood? If your house is properly built and maintained, you'll be fine. But what about your 401k or your investments? The stock market has had a great run the last few years, but is its current turmoil making you feel uneasy? Are you confident your portfolio is built to weather the financial storm? Now may be a great time to have your retirement plan inspected. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial at 800-454-1184 now. Eric will examine your portfolio and show you if your investments are in need of some weatherproofing. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial today at 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm Louie Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, and we know Eric gets questions each and every week whenever people are out and about with him and they find out what he does. I'm sure one of the main questions is about retirement, and what should I be doing with my money? When should I retire? What about Social Security? But we're going to take the time right now to pull these common questions, and Eric, we're going to ask them on the air. So you can answer to more than just one person, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. First question. This one comes from Mike. And he says, I've had a steady corporate job for 35 years. My wife has taught piano lessons since we were married in the early 80s. Her job helped us pay for groceries and gave us some extra money to put away for the future, but she does not have a job with a 401k or insurance benefits. How can I make sure she'll be okay if something happens to me?
Well, Mike, of course all the money is joint, right? So she should be the beneficiary of his 401k and all that stuff. So, unless he's got some explaining to do, right? So that's one way. She will get 50% of his full retirement age, Social Security, which would be basically the age 67 amount. If she waits to her full retirement age, also, so she will be getting that. And then if he passed away first, she would get the bigger check. So there is some stuff that she's got already. One thing she could be doing is she could be funding, either depending on their income level, either traditional IRA or Roth IRA. She could actually be doing the back door, which is great. If they make too much money, she could actually, if she has no other IRA, she could fund regular IRA and then convert it to Roth. So, there are a lot of options for her at least to be putting some money away while she's, got the job, assuming she makes up to $8,000. Now, if she makes less, you can put away that amount. And so there are some options. But you do want to make sure you have a plan for both of you, not just one, right?
True.
So
very important.
Yeah. So it'd be really good just to have an income plan laid out, make sure that money lasts for both of your lifetimes, not just one.
Exactly. Okay, very good. So yes, when people come in, they should come in, if they're a couple, should come in together, right?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, lots of times we'll have. I'll just talk to one spouse on the intro, the basically what we call the worry less wealth visit, where we just kind of go over what you're worried about, what your concerns are. But definitely when we go through the blueprint, that's what we need to have. Both of them there to really kind of get what's going on, and plus we can on our software flip a switch where it says, okay, if one of you passed away, now would that money still work because the tax brackets are changing, one Social Security check, not two, all those types of things.
Yeah, I love how you can do that. You can set up different scenarios. If this happens, or let's say if this happens, the other one goes first. So I love that. Okay, next question in our mailbag from Megan. She says, we weren't planning on leaving much for our kids after we passed, but now that our first grandchild has been born, we've changed our minds. And then she says we should have had the grandkids first. I hear that all the time. Is there a way for us to leave them each a little something after we're gone?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's easy enough to, change some of your, either your beneficiaries or just your trust or will to say, that these, the grandkids get a flat dollar amount or certain percentage. That's one way. The other way is they could be, depending on how much of that money they need, they could be taking some of that money out and funding like a 529 where it grows tax-free for education. There's lots of options that they can do. And so it's just more about figuring out, does this fit into your plan? What's that going to cost you, right? Because if you start giving away money while you're alive, then, you might have less for your own retirement. Or if you're going to do it, after you're gone, then that's pretty simple. Because like if you said, I want them each to get $20,000 each, say, or whatever the dollar number is, you could put that actually as a beneficiary, that certain dollar amount, and then the rest could go to whoever else you had it before. So so there's lots of options to do that, and you could even sometimes buy life insurance or other things like that. So there's a lot of tools. It's just a matter of what makes the most sense depending on their ages and depending on what types of money they'll need, and also what their parents are doing, right? So if their parents have pretty successful financially, then maybe they need a little bit less, but if not, might want to help them a little bit differently. So again, this is all stuff that comes into the blueprint, and it's stuff that we can kind of go over once we have that income plan and that investment and tax and healthcare and legacy planning. That's all part of that planning. But one of the things that we've done is we set up a digital toolbox, and inside the digital toolbox has a lot of great stuff like will your money last as long as you do? Are you paying too much money in taxes in retirement? The Social Security timing decision, all those types of fun decisions you get to do, right? When you figure out your retirement. We've got a little bit of educational stuff on all those. They're all about 10 to 15 page, really quick reads. So they're not anything that's, too long. None of us like to read huge amounts right now anymore. So it's a great resource. So all you have to do to get that is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And you're listening to Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. All right, we are in our mailbag today getting some specific questions for Eric. Next one comes from Sandra, and she says, my husband and I just started getting serious about preparing for retirement. So we started going through all of our monthly expenses, and it was really eye-opening, she says. I had no idea where it was all going each month. And then she said, her question is, but now what do we do?
Yes. So, hopefully they really went through it really well, because of, I find lots of times people, when they do their budget, they're still off by a lot, often 20 to 40%.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's big numbers typically. And it's just because of all those weird things that, like property taxes are usually twice a year, car insurance maybe once or twice or monthly, depends on how you pay it, right? And so it's funny, people will count the monthly stuff, but they'll forget those off-cycle, types of items, and, stuff like Christmas time, right? How much you spend then and all that. So, so I find that the no BS budget is the best way to go. And that is quite simply, you take 12 months bank statements, add up all the withdrawals, and divide by 12. And if you're paying off your credit card every month from that bank account, you don't even have to look at the credit card because you paid it off from there, right? So, so that'll be the no BS, really what you spent. And it's usually a pretty big eye opener for people. And then you can start going through and seeing, okay, well, do we need all this stuff, right? Do you need so many subscriptions, right? We all get hooked on too many of those little things. They nickel and dime you, and that, that adds up to a lot. So, you look at that, look at other stuff, but, maybe you go pick up the food versus door dashing and things like that, right?
Save a little.
Usually save a lot, because not only just the delivery fees and tips, but also lots of times the menu prices are different. So, there's a lot of ways to do some stuff, but, lots of times it's just that is the cost of living. And, and if you're retired, guess what? You're going to have more time to do a lot of that stuff. So it's probably not going to go down. It's probably going to go up. So, you just need to make sure you have an income plan that ensures you have enough money to pay for that standard of living.
Right. Very good. And our last question real quick is from Dwayne, and he says he's planning a relatively simple retirement. He's done mostly everything he's wanted to do. So he's wondering, if I don't have anything really big planned, is there much that I need to do for a retirement plan?
Well, I have some people who, are going to live a little simpler lifestyle, and that's great, but you still want to know where that income's coming from. You want to know what the taxes are year to year, because there's still a lot of tax planning you can do. And if you can make some simple little changes, some little tweaks here and there, you could save yourself literally tens of thousands of dollars in taxes over your lifetime. So, you really want to do that planning. So, again, I mean, one of the things we've set up here is an easy way to have a lot of great information. We got a copy of my book, a lot of great downloads like Social Security timing decision. Will my money last as long as I do? Am I paying too much money in taxes in retirement? All that, and a link to set a time to talk with me, Eric Heckman. And all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Thinking about healthcare costs, long-term care expenses, and income needs in retirement? How will you afford it all? And what can you do now to help ensure your loved ones will be okay when you're gone? Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial has access to tools and strategies that can help you pursue your retirement dreams without taking on too much risk with your money. Interest rates are the highest they've been in decades, so take advantage of this seemingly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help protect your retirement before it's gone. Learn about the tools and features available today that could provide bonuses, potentially adding up to tens of thousands of dollars in additional income when medical needs arise. Schedule your visit with Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial today by calling 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. These opportunities won't last forever, so call now to help protect your future. 800-454-1184.
Hi, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, and so happy to have you along with us today. Every week on our show, we talk about challenges and risks that happen in retirement. So it's time now for Eric to give us an example of someone who has experienced one of those obstacles in retirement. We call it a financial fail. Obviously, we want to learn from it and hopefully not do that. Eric, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, well, one of the things that kind of drives me nuts about my profession is most people, when you talk to a financial advisor, they'll say, we don't give tax advice. And then you go to your tax person and they say, well, we don't give financial advice. So it's like, okay, well, when are you two ever going to talk? Because somebody needs to help me.
Yeah.
I don't have a left side of the body and a right side of the body doctor. You need somebody who works on the whole thing, right?
Yes.
And so, what I've seen a lot of issues with is people just not knowing how much of a role the taxes play. In the movie, The Psychology of Retirement that we've been showing, they talk about the fact that the largest expense in retirement, bigger than anything else, even medical costs, is taxes. And why is that? Well, because most people put money in IRAs, 401ks, and they've never paid the tax bill. And so there's a lot of issues around that. I had one client who came to me when he was 70. This was a few years back. When the tax rates were not the tax rates, the required minimum distribution was at 70.5 then. Now it's 73. But, every time he took more money out of his IRA, his Social Security got taxed more. And, I've had other people where all of a sudden they've said, oh, I want to do this improvement on my house. We just had somebody doing that. And so they did all this stuff. And of course, like all home improvement projects, it goes over budget, right? It takes too long and costs twice as much. Again, they didn't come to us early enough in retirement, or pre-retirement, I should say. So they just had all sorts of IRA and 401k dollars. Well, of course, as we take more and more of that out, they start going up the food chain, if you want to call it that, or whatever, in the tax brackets, and then more of your funds get eaten up. And so I see this repeatedly happening where people don't have some tax-free money. I've had some people where we've got those Roth IRAs and we've got some tax-free money. They're able to go get those and not have to pay the tax. I had one client that needed a new truck. He likes to do a lot of, projects and stuff around the house, and nothing fancy, but he had $20,000 in his Roth IRA. We were able to use that money tax-free.
Wow.
Had he needed to get that out of his, taxable IRA account, if it wasn't the Roth, he would have needed probably $28,000 to get that same $20,000 net check. So, again, if you have got some tax-free money and some taxable money, then you can be playing around with what bracket you want to be year by year. Mm-hmm. But, a lot of people don't do that, and all they have is just taxable money coming in, and there is no way to plan for that. It's just you pay the tax, and so it's pretty painful.
Thank you for tuning in to Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Eric Heckman, and it's been a pleasure guiding you towards a more confident and secure retirement. Remember, my responsibility is to always do what's right for you, our client. Together, we can cut out that fancy-sounding financial jargon that doesn't help and focus on what truly matters for your financial future. If you're ready to take control of your retirement planning and build a personalized income plan, contact us at 800-454-1184 and text the word TOOLBOX to schedule a complimentary consultation. If you're looking for more resources and tools to build your retirement future, don't forget to check out that Wealth Creator Toolbox, your toolkit for a secure and confident retirement journey. Until next time, retire more and worry less with Wealth Creator Radio.
Information provided during Wealth Creator Radio is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. Eric Heckman offers investment advisory services through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Any tax advice given as part of this presentation is not intended to be used and cannot be used by the taxpayer for the purpose of avoiding tax penalties or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any matter or transaction addressed herein. The views and opinions expressed in the program are not necessarily those of the radio station or its sponsors, and they should not construe as legal, tax, or investment advice. You should always consult the appropriate advisor before making any financial decision.